Hi, in this video I'm going to solve some questions on the optional midterm review on the MyMathLab. So if you go to the assignments on the MyMathLab, you should see that there is an optional midterm review. This one is a good place for you to review and practice solving some problems before attempting to do the midterm of this week. So if you click here, you will see that there's many questions. Actually, there's 86 questions. So I picked some questions from here, and the one that I repeated, I just skipped the question. And so I just picked the type of question once and do them here, so that you can see the type of questions and how to solve some questions from the review on the MyMathLab. Okay, so let's go over the questions that I chose from the assignments from the MyMathLab. Okay. The first question: find the distance between the given 2 points P1 and P2. So you are given a 2 coordinates P1, point 1, and point 2, and you are asked to find the distance. So we know that the distance formula has the form of square root of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square, and take the whole square root. Okay, so we are given 2 points, so we know that this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2, and now you can do the plug into this formula. So that the distance should be x2, which is 2, subtract x1, which is 0, square, plus y2, which is 3, y1, which is 0, and then square. So that gives me 2 subtract 0 with 2, 2 squared 4, 4 plus 3 subtract 0 with 3, 3 square is 9, right? 3 squared is 9, 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 2 is 4, 9 plus 4, that is 13. And we have the square root of 13 to be the distance. So this is the exact answer. So we use the radical of the 13. Okay, so that is the first problem. The second problem, you are asked to find the midpoint of the line segments that joining the 2 points P1 and P2. Again, we are labeled P1 would be P1 x1 y1 x2 y2. Now to find the midpoint, this is the midpoint formula. So for the x coordinate, we add the 2x together, x1 plus x2, and then we find the midpoint. So we have to divide by 2 to find the middle points between the x coordinates. And then the same thing to y. We add the y, we take the midpoint, which is dividing by 2. Okay, so x1 plus y1, x1 plus y1, 2 plus 6, and then divide by 2, that is for the x. And for the y, we add y1 minus 5 plus y2, which is 7, and then divide by 2. Now 2 plus 6 is 8, 8 divided by 2, that's 4, 7 subtract 5, that is 2, 2 divided by 2, that should be 1. So the midpoint is 4 for x, y is 1. The next question: determine which of the given points are on the graph of the equation. So you are given the equation y equals x to the 4th power minus the square root of x. You are asked to see which point here is the point that is on the graph. Now, the point that is on the graph when that point satisfies the equations. So this is the equation y equals x to the 4th power minus the square root of x. Now let's do the testing for the first point. 2 minus 2. This is the location for x and y. Okay, let's do the testing. When x is 2, we see the x here. So 2 to the 4th power minus the radical of x is 2. Does that equal to y? y is minus 2. Does that equal? The left and the right hand side, are they equal or not? Now x to the 4 power 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 4 times, so that is 16. And then the radical of 2 is around 1.4. Radical of 2 is 1.41. So 16 minus 1.41, that is still like 14 something, right? So 16 subtract that is 14.5. So that is not equal to minus 2. So this point is not. Now we do the testing for the next point. 0, 0. Again, 0 for x, y is for 0. So let's do some testing. We know y now is 0. We check the right hand side. 0 for x, right? X is 0. X 0 to the 4 power minus square root of 0. 0 to the 4 power is 0. Square root of 0, 0, 0 subtract 0, 0 subtract 0 is 0. And 0 for the left hand side. So that is equal. So yes, this point is correct. Sorry, the first point is this guy. Okay, not minus 1 and 4. Now let's do the testing for the last point. Minus 1 and 4. Minus 1 for x, well, 4 for y. Minus 1 go to the place of x. Let's try. Minus 1. So we have y to be 4. That equal to minus 1 to the 4 power minus the square root of minus 1. Now we have the square root of a negative value. This is not a real number, so it's not a solution. Okay, so this point is also not. So the only point that is on the graph is 0, 0. Okay, it satisfies the equation on both sides. This question asks you to list the intercepts of the graph. So there are two types of intercepts: the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Okay, so we look for the point that crossing the x-axis for the x-intercept. We don't see any line that crossing the x-axis, so in this case we don't have any x-intercepts. But for the y-intercept, we are looking for the point that is crossing the y-axis. So we do see this point here and also this point here. Let's zoom it more so we can clearly see. Okay, this is 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So 7 for y. So the first point, sorry. Okay, the first point here is when you have 0 for x and then y is 7. The same thing here. This is minus 7. This is minus 8. So the point above that is minus 7. So we have 0 for x and then go down minus 7 for y. So we have the y-intercept, the two pairs, 0, 7 and 0, minus 7. Next question. Graph the equation by hand by plotting the point. Okay. So we can make the table. This is x, y. So I have x, I have y. Let's pick a few random points. Let's pick minus 1, 0, and 1. When x is minus 1, minus 1 go to x, minus 1 minus 3, that is minus 4. When x is 0, 0 minus 3 is minus 3. When x is 1, 1 minus 3, that is minus 2. Now we have the pairs x, y. Let's plot them on the x, y axis here. When x is minus 1, which is here, y is minus 4, which is right here. When x is 0, y is minus 3, which is right here. When x is 1, which is here, and y is minus 2, which is right here. So we can see that they all lie on a straight line. We can connect them together. And we should be able to graph the function. Okay. when you plot this on the MyMathLab, all you need is 2 points, so you can use the 2 dots and they will connect the line together. Okay, the next question they ask you is x equals 7 in the domain of this function. So again, the domain of a function is the value of x that make the function to be defined. Okay, so if you plug in x to be 7 to this expression, you get 9 divided by x now is 7 minus 7, which is 9 divided by 0. Now dividing by 0 is undefined. Because this value of x make the function to be undefined, it should not be the domain of the function. Next one, solve the equation. So let's rewrite the equation here. 4t subtract 4 equal 16 minus t. Let's combine the like term. I add t on both sides. I get 5t. Subtract 4 equal 16. I add 4 on both sides. 5t equal 4 on both sides give me 20. And then divide by 5 on both sides. I can solve for t. 20 divided by 5, that is 4. 4 times 5, 20. So the value of t is the solution, which is 4. Okay, the next one. Alexa, who is paid time and a half 4 hours? Who is paid time and a half 4 hours? Work in excess of 40 hours. Okay, so if you work more than 40 hours, you get paid for that the time and a half of that hours. This person had the gross weekly wages of $608 for 56 hour work. What is her regular hour rate? Okay, so let's try. For 56 hours, this is the overtime comparing to the normal regular 40 hours. So you have to subtract 40 hours, right? 40 hours. So you get 16. 40 plus 16, that is 56. So 16 hours is the overtime of the week. Okay, so this much of 16 hours will receive the pay of the regular time and a half 40 hours after 40 hours. Okay, so let's set up the table to solve this problem. So we are asked to find the regular hour rate. So we are asked to find that value. So we let that to be the x, which is the regular hourly rate. Okay, so when you want to find a rate for the normal 40 hours. Okay, so we have two cases. The first one is the regular hour, and then the second case is for the overtime. So you have the number of the hours work, the rate, and then the salary. Okay. Now for the regular, you have 40 hours. We know that we have 40 hours for normal hours. The overtime here, 16. The rate for the normal one is the one we are looking for. We don't know that, so we put that x. Therefore, the salary for the regular hour should be 40 times x, the number of the hours times the rate. So that is 40x. The overtime hour, 16. The rate, remember the rate is time and a half of the hours. So that should be 1.5 of the normal rate, which is 1.5 times x. So for the overtime payment, you get 1.5, 1.5, 4 the normal rate. And then the salary, which is 16 the hours multiplied by the rate, which is 1.5 times x. So if you can combine all the salary together for the week, you get 608. So I add them together. The one with the 40 hours normal plus the one with the overtime payment. Together, I get 608. And this is the linear equation where I can solve for x, which is the regular hourly rate. Now 40x, 16 times 1.5, that gives me 24. So plus 24x equal 608. And then I can solve for, I can add them together, combine like times 40 plus 24, that gives me 64x equals 608. And then you can divide by 64 on both sides. 608 divided by 64, that gives me x to be 9.5. So 9.5 is the amount of dollar for each regular hours. Sorry, for 9.5 is $9.5 for each hour of the first 40 hours, or the regular hourly rate. Okay, so $9.5 per hour for the regular hourly rate, because that is the value of x for x, which is the regular hourly rate. Okay, next question. Going into the final exams, which is counts as 2 tests, has test scores of 75, 84, 763, and 96. What scores the crook needs on the final in order to have an average score of 80? So when you want to find the average, all you do now is you sum all the score, okay, together and divide by the number of the scores you get. So he has the test score of 75, 80, 84, 70, 63, 96. So these are the 5 previous tests. So you add that together. 70 plus 63 plus 96. Now the final is counts as 2 tests, right? We don't know his final score, so we count us at the 2 tests. So I don't know the value, so maybe I call this to be an x value, right? So you add the x, which is his final exam score, and now divide by the total number of the number of exams to get the average score. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But don't forget that we count the final exam at 2 tests. So the x here should be 2 tests. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So total we should have 7 tests for the whole thing for the class. And you want the average score to be 80. So you want it to be 80. And now you need to solve for x, which is the final exam score. So we multiply by 7 on the left and the right hand side. So 80 times 7 multiply by 7 on both sides. So I have 75 plus 84 plus 70 plus 63 plus 96 plus x equal 560. Now you need to sum all of them to combine the like term, simplify together. 75 plus 84 plus 70 plus 63 plus 96, that gives me 388 plus x equal 560. Now you need to solve for x, so take 560, subtract 388, so x should be 172. So he need to get 172 on the final exam in order for him to get the average score of 80. Okay, so this problem this equation by factoring. X squared, okay, we have x squared minus 100 equals 0. To factor this one, we know that this is the difference of the two square, right? 10 squared is 100. So we can rewrite this way. And then apply the formula. This is x minus 10 multiply x plus 10 equal 0. Because the difference of the square formula is a squared minus b squared equal a minus b multiply a plus b. So this is equal to 0. So you can use the zero factor property. You can solve for each of the factor to be 0. And add 10 on both sides, I get x to be 10. Subtracting 10 on both sides, I get x to be minus 10. So these are the two values of your answer. And then the next one, you can solve this one by factoring. Again, to factor this one, this is the trinomial of the second degree trinomial, and the coefficient of the second degree term is 1. So we can factor it using the two factor. We know that's z squared, so we need z here and z here. Now what are the two numbers here that I need to multiply to get to minus 3 and add them together to get plus 2? So that should be what are the two factor. When I multiply together, I get minus 3, right? The product is minus 3. The sum is 2. So minus 3, I could factor it into 1, minus 1, and 3. Minus 1 times 3 give me minus 3. And minus 1 plus 3 give me plus 2. So these are the correct number. So we need minus 1 and plus 3. Because minus 1 times 3 is minus 3. 3 plus minus 1 give me plus 2, the middle term. So again, you can use the zero factor property. So you set each of the term to be 0 and solve for z. Add 1 on both sides. Z equal 1. Subtracting 3 on both sides. Z equal minus 3. So these are the two answers. Next question. The quantity b squared minus 4ac is called the blank of a quadratic equation. That is the discriminant. The discriminant of the quadratic equation. Now this factor b squared equal minus 4ac, that is the discriminant. And there are three cases. If you get a positive value for the discriminant, then your solution of the quadratic equation, you have two real solutions, two real answers. If you get a 0, then you have repeated solutions. That means the two answers are the same. And if you get a negative, then you don't have any real solution. So no real solution. Okay. So there are three cases. So in this case, you want the equation has no real solution. That means you want b squared minus 4ac is called the discriminant of a quadratic equation. If it is negative, then the equation has no real solution. Okay, something is wrong. Let me fix this. Okay, this is the next question. Solving the quadratic equation by completing the square. So here's how we completing the square. This is the quadratic equation because we have the second degree polynomial. So before we do anything, make sure we move the constant to the right hand side. Okay, so you want to move that to the right hand side. Do 3x squared plus x. We add the 1/2 on both sides, so I should get 1/2 to the right hand side. Now, you don't want the coefficient of the square term to be 3. It should be 1. So go ahead and divide by 3 on both sides. Okay. So 3 and 3 give me 1, which is what I want. And plus 1 over 3 for x. 1/2 divided by 3 give me 1 over 6. Okay. Now, all we do now is we take the middle term coefficient, 1 over 3, we square it. So give me 1 over 3 times 3, that's 9. So all I do now is I add 1 over 9 to both sides. So the left hand side becomes the perfect square trinomial, right? So x plus with 1 over 3, the whole quantity square. So the variable x adding the middle term coefficient 1/3, the whole quantity square, equal 1 over 6 on the right hand side plus 1 over 9 on the right hand side, equal together 5 over 18. And then you want to solve for x. This is the second degree, sorry, it's the second power. So you can factor, you can solve for x by taking the plus or minus the square root of 5 over 18. And then to solve for x, you just have to subtract 1 over 3 on both sides. So you can solve for x. The 1 over 3 and 1 over 3 they cancel. So you have minus 1 over 3 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 18. Okay, so you can type the answers using the radical here. And then there are two answers, one with the plus, one with the minus. Okay, the next question is use the quadratic formula to find the real solutions, if any. So let's review the quadratic formula. X equal minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now let's write the equation here. X squared plus a, x plus 6 equals 0. 1 is the coefficient of x squared term, so a equal 1. B is the coefficient of x, which is 8, and c the constant c. So let's try the substitution here. Minus b minus of a plus or minus the radical of b squared. B squared is a squared minus 4. A is 1. C is 6 divided by 2a. A is 1. So minus a plus or minus. 8 times a is 64 minus 6 times 1 times 4 is 24 over 2 times 1 is 2. And then you get minus 8 plus or minus 64 minus 40 minus 24, that give me 40. 40 plus 64, 24 is 64 over 2. Now, can I simplify this expression? Yes, I can, right? 40 I can write as 4 times 10 divided by 2. And we know that the square root of 4, we can take it outside to become 2, and radical of 10 inside. And then divide by 2. Now you can factor the 2 outside. So minus 8 divided by 2 give me minus 4. I factor out the 2, I don't have anything left. And divide by 2. So you can see that the 2 can cancel out. You get minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 10. And that is your final answer. And you can type the exact answer using a radical. One with the plus and one with the minus. Okay, and now we use the discriminant to determine whether the quadratic equation had two unreal solutions. Sorry, two unequal real solutions, a repeated real solution, or no real solution without solving the equation. So we know that the discriminant is the term b squared minus 4ac. This is the expression for the discriminant. Now in this case, we see that a is 6, the coefficient of the square term, b is the middle coefficient, which is minus 4, c is 6. So b squared, which is minus 4 square minus 4, a is 6, and c is also 6. 6 times 6 is 30, 6 times 6 is 36, 36 times 4, that is 144, 4 times 4, that is minus 4 times minus 4, that's 16. Now 16 subtract 100 something, that should be a negative, right? So negatives mean that you don't have the real solution. So that should be this option. Okay, find the real solution of the equation. Radical of y plus 3 equals 10. You want to solve for y, and now you see there's a radical. You don't want the radical to stay here. So we go ahead and we square both sides. So the radical is gone. You have y plus 3 equal 10 times 10, which is 100. Subtract 3 on both sides to solve for y, which is 97. Now make sure you check the answer back. Anytime you solve the the equation with the square by squaring both sides, we may create some extraneous solution. So make sure we have to check the answer every time we solve the radical equation. So let's check the answer. Y now is 97. So 97 plus 3, does that equal 10? Let's check. 97 plus 3, that's 100. And the square root of 100 equals 10. So that is correct. So this is the correct answer. Okay, let's try this one. Find a real solution of the following equation. Okay, we know t to the 4th power equal 256 equals 0. Now we know that t square we can rewrite as t square, t4 equal t squared square, because 2 times 2 is 4. Now 256 we can rewrite as 16 square, because 16 times 16 is 256. Now this is the difference of the 2 square, so which is t square minus 16 and t square plus 16 equal to 0. Okay, and that gives me what? I have the two factors multiplied together equal to 0. That tells me that t squared minus 16 equal to 0, or t squared plus 16 equal to 0. Now I can subtract 16 on both sides for the second equation, so I get t squared equal minus 16. Because when you square something, you get a minus value. That is not possible, so you don't get a real solution. Because if you square something, you should end up with at least 0 or above 0. But if you square something and you get negative value, that is not a real solution. So the second equation is not the one you are used to find the answer. Now all you have left is the third equation. Let's try to solve that for t. Okay. Here you can see that I can rewrite this way. 16 squared is 4 times 4, and again this is the difference of the 2 square. T minus 4 and t plus 4 equal to 0, and that tells me that I have two cases: t minus 4 equal to 0 or t plus 4 equal to 0. And for the first equation, I can add 4 on both sides to get t equal 4. For the second equation, I can subtract 4 on both sides to solve for t. So these two are the answers to my my equation. Okay, so we only have the two real. So they ask you only to find a real solution, which is 2. But if they ask you to find the unreal solution as well, then we use this equation. But for now, we don't consider the unreal solutions. So just use the first equation, and this is not. Okay, the next question. This is the also we are trying to find a real solution, and now we are looking to solve for the equation, this is the x to the 4 power and x squared. Now we can use a trick here. Let's put x squared equal t. Okay, now you can see that x to the 4 is x squared minus 10 x squared plus 9 equals 0. Now x squared, we let that to be t, so we have t squared minus 10 x squared is equal to t plus 9 equals 0. Now you can solve for t. Okay, you can solve for this one by factoring. I have t here, I have t here. I need to find two numbers to multiply together to get 9 and add them together to get minus 10, which is minus 1 and minus 9. Minus 1 times minus 9, that will give me plus 9. Minus 1 add minus 9 give me minus 10. And so these two factors, I can solve for that for t. So adding 1 on both sides, I get t equal 1. And then adding 9 on both sides, I get t equal 9. But we are given the x not t. And we make the substitution of x squared equal t. So x squared equal t. We have 2t. So let's do the first case first, which is 1. So x squared equal 1. First case. So x should be plus or minus the radical of 1, or x equal plus or minus 1. So that is the value for x. Okay. And then the second case, t equal 9. So x squared equal 9 for t. So we can solve for x by taking the square root or minus of 9, which is the plus or minus of 3. Another two more solutions. So your answer should be plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3 for the 4 power of the polynomial. Okay, the next question. We are solving the absolute value function. So remember, the absolute value function always gives you two solutions, the plus and the minus. So in this case, we have 3x plus 6 equal 3, or 3x plus 6 equal minus 3. 1 plus, 1 minus, due to the absolute value. Absolute value gives you the distance from the points to 0, which is always plus or minus. No matter you get plus or minus, you should end up with the plus. Okay, so I can get the first equation. I can solve for x. I subtract minus 6 on both sides, I get minus 3, and then divide by 3 on both sides, I get minus 1. Now for this one, I subtract minus 6 on both sides, I get minus 9, and divide by 3 on both sides, I get minus 3. So these two are the answer of this equation. The next problem is a word problem, and this one requires you to use the system of equation, solving the system of equation. Bessie's a recent retire requires $6,000 per year in extra income. She has $60,000 to invest and can invest in the B-rate bonds paying 17% per year, or in a certificate of deposit CD paying 7% per year. How much money should she invest in each of the account to realize exactly $6,000 in the interest per year? So okay, so this is the interest money problem. Let me write it here. Okay, so we have two different accounts here. One is the 17% account. The other one is 7% account. Now this is the interest rate problem. So we can see that there's the time, there is the rate for the interest rate, and there's the interest earned for after a certain amount of time, year. Okay, so you see that, and then also, okay, let's one more thing here. The amount, and then the interest. Okay, this is the table we need. We know that the timing for per year, so this person only require the amount of 6,000 for 1 year. So we know the time is 1. The rate of 17% account is 0.17, and 70% account is 0.07. Now, we don't know the amount that this person should invest in the 17% account. We don't know that amount of money, so we let that to be some X value. But we know that the total she has here is 60,000. So she has 60,000 K to 60K to make the investment. So if she puts some X amount for the 17%, then the rest of the money should be 60,000. Subtract the amount of X that she put in this account. So that is the amount for a 17% account. The interest is the amount of money that she earns at the end of the year. So we multiply the amount, the rate, and the time together. So X times 0.17 times 1 is 0.17 X. And this one is again the same thing. 60,000 subtract X multiplied by 0.07 multiplied by 1, which is 1. Right? So nothing. Now we sum these two interest money. We sum them up together. This one and this one together. You want to get exactly 6,000 per year. Okay, so that is the equation that you need to solve for X. I can move the 7 to the front. 0.07. 60,000 subtract X, and then I can make the distribution here. 0.07 multiplied by 60,000. That's give me 4,200. Subtract 0.07 together. You want to make this to become 6,000, and then 0.17 because you want the interest money at the end of each year to be 6,000. So we add the two accounts together. You get 6,000. Now let's try to solve for X. Combine the lifetime. 0.17 subtract 0.07. These two give me 0.1 X, and add 4200 equal 6,000. And then now let's subtract 4,200 on both sides. Then I should get 6,000 subtract 4,200 should give me 1,800. And then you can divide both sides by 0.1, right, to get X to be 18,000. So 18,000 is the amount of money she should put in the 17%. 18,000. Now she has 60,000. So she already put 18,000 here, so the rest should be here. So 60,000 subtract 18,000, so 42,000 should be placing to the other 70% account. So that's how you solve this type of problem. Actually, you don't need to use the system of equation here. If you use one variable x, y, then if you just use the one variable x here, then you can solve the linear equation, and you don't have to use the two letters x, y, and solve for the system of equation. Either way, you still end up with the same thing. The next question, find the real solution of the equation. The radical. Okay, so in this case, we are given the radical x squared minus x minus 2 equal x plus 2. So to solve for the radical, you can take the power of 2. Okay, to take away the radical. So I end up with x squared minus x minus 2 equal x plus 2, the whole quantity squared. Now you can expand this out. So using the formula a plus b square equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Okay, I can expand this out. So I get x squared plus 2 times ab, 2 times 2 times x, that is 4x, plus 2 squared, that is 4. That is the right hand side. And the left hand side, this one. Now I can subtract x squared on both sides. That's gone. All I have left now is minus x minus 2 equals 4x plus 4. Now let's add x on both sides. I should get 5x here plus 4 equal minus 2. And then I subtract 4 on both sides. I should get 5x equal minus 6. And then I can divide by 5 on both sides. I can get, this is the answer. Okay, this is the answer. And now because you are solving the radical equation, remember, for solving the radical equation, you have to check the answer. So let's check the answer. X squared is minus 6 over 5 squared. Minus x is minus 6 over 5 minus 2. So that's the left hand side. So that equal to minus 6 over 5, the right hand side, plus 2. Now 6 divided by 5, minus 6 divided by 5, that is minus 1.2. This is minus 1.2. And you add 2, you get 0.8. Let's check the left hand side. Minus 6 squared, minus 6 over 5 squared is minus 6 over 5 multiplied by minus 6 over 5, and minus become plus, so you add to 6 over 5 and you subtract that from 2, right? You subtract that to 2, and then we take the square root. That also gives me 0.8. So this is the correct answer. Minus 6 over 5. Okay, the next question. You are given the solution to the inequality. Now they ask you to use the interval notation to describe the graph. Okay, here we are using the bracket, the square bracket. That means this should involve the equal sign. So we go from 2 up to 7. So 2 up to 7. So 2 is the lower bound, 7 is the upper bound. So bigger than or equal to 2, less than or equal to 7 because of the bracket. And that should be x between these two. Okay. Next one. To solve the inequality. 7x minus 3 bigger than 39. So adding 3 on both sides, I get 42. Dividing by 7 on both sides, x equal, sorry, this should be the bigger than side. 42 divided by 7, that's 6. 6 times 7 is 42. So the solution is x bigger than 6, and in the interval notation that should be from 6 up to infinity, alright? Because bigger than 6 meaning that x running from 6 all the way to the right up to infinity. Okay, the same thing here. We are solving for x. So subtracting 2 on both sides, I get 3 divided by minus 3. Now, because when I divide by minus 3, there's a rule that when you divide or multiply by a minus value, you have to flip the side, flip the direction of the inequality. That's become bigger than or equal to. And 3 divided by minus 3 give me minus 1. And to write this one in the interval notation, we know that minus 1 is the lower bound. Anything bigger than that, go up to the right. And we have the equal sign, so use the bracket. Okay, the next question. For this type problem, we are solving the absolute value function bigger than 21. This is the greater than case, so there are two cases: 7x bigger than 21 or 7x less than minus 21 for the bigger than case. Now you have to solve for x for the two cases here. Divide by 3 on both sides, you get 7 on both sides, you get 3. And then divide by 7 on both sides, you also get minus 3. Okay. So you have the solutions as x bigger than 3 and x less than or equal to 3. And writing that in the interval notation, x bigger than 3, that means from 3 up to infinity, and then less than minus 3, so minus 3 is the highest, and we go all the way to the left. Okay, and then this case is for the less than or equal to 10. This is less than or equal to 10, so we have the expression less than or equal to 10 or bigger than or equal to minus 10. Now to solve for t, you have to add 2 on both sides. So you have 3t, 10 plus 2, 12, minus 10 plus 2, that is minus 8. Divide by 3 on all the sides, you get t less than or equal to 4. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and minus 8 divided by 3. And if you want to write that in the interval notation, because they are the two equal sides, so you have to use the bracket. Minus 8 over 3 up to 4. Okay, the next question. Find the intercept. Now, you don't see any intercept on the x-axis, so there's no x-intercepts. But there's a y-intercept. One here, one is here. This one, the top one, 0 for x, y is 4. The bottom, 0 for x minus 4 is for y. Now indicate whether the graph is symmetric with respect to the x-axis, y, or the origin. Now you see that every time you have, let's pick a point. Pick a point. If I have minus 6 and 0, no actually, let's pick a point on the graph. So let's pick a point here. This is 6 and maybe 5, right? If this k is symmetric with respect to the x-axis, then I should also have 6 and minus 5, right? So I do have that point here. So these two points are symmetric with respect to the x-axis. And also there's a point to the left with also symmetric with respect to the y-axis. So we do have the x-axis symmetric, the y-axis symmetric. What about the origin? If I have 6 minus 5, sorry, if I have x and y to be 6 and 5, if I do have the symmetry for the origin, then I should get minus 6 and minus 5 also on the graph. Do I have this point? Let's check. Minus 6 is right here. Minus 5 is around here. So these 2 points, yes, we do have the point on for minus and minus, x minus y. So yes, we do have the origin as well. So yeah, so all 3 of them. The next question. How do I find a slope and interpret the slope? Okay. Okay, to find the slope, we know that the slopes equal rise over run. So let's pick 2 points. From here to get down to here, you have to go to the right by 2 units, right? 2 units, and then you go down 1 unit. So we run to the right by 2 units. we move down by 1 unit, so minus 1, so minus 1/2. So minus 1/2 is the slope of the line. Yeah, so that's the question for A. And minus slope meaning that the line is going down, decreasing. Okay, the next question. Plot the pair of points and determine the slope of the line containing them. Okay, so you are asked to plot the point on the xy plane. This is x, this is y. 1, 4. 1 is for x. 1, 2, 3, 4 is for y, which is here. 5, 3. 5 is for x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for x. And then 3 for y, which is right here. Now you want to connect these 2 points and then find a line of that. How do I find a line? Well, we are given 2 points. You can find a line by using the point slope formula. 1, 4 and 5, 3. We know that this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So I can find the slope m to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 3, y1 is 4, x2 is 5, x1 is 1. So 3 minus 4 minus 1, 5 minus 1 is 4. And then use the point slope formula, y minus y1 equal m x minus x1 to find the equation. Now y minus y1, your y1 is 4. Your m is minus 1, 4. And your x1 is 1. And then you can solve for y. Make the distribution to the right hand side. Minus 1 over 4x minus minus become plus 1 over 4. Now you need to solve for y to get the equation. So you add 4 on both sides. So you get minus 1 over 4x minus 1 over 4 on the right hand side. You add 4 on both sides. So add 4, I get 17 over 4. So this is the equation of the line. Okay, you are given the slope of the line and a point. Now use this information to locate 3 additional points on the line. Okay, so you are given the slope and the point. So maybe you can find okay, let's do it this way. The slope equal 3 is the same thing as 3 over 1, right? Which is rise over run. So we have the given point 3 minus 5. As I run to the right by 1 unit, so 4, 3 plus 1 is 4. I have to rise up 3 units, so minus 3 minus 5 plus 3 give me minus 2. So that is another point on the function. So let's check which one has minus 4 and minus 2. 4 and minus 2, which is this one. So this is the answer. The next one, the slope m and the point p on the lines are given. Use this information to find additional 3 points. The same thing. The point 4 minus 4. The slope m equal 1 over 3. 1 is rise over run. So as I run 3 units on the x-axis, 4 run to the right by 3 becomes 7. I have to rise up by 1 unit. Minus 4 plus 1 give me minus 3. 7 minus 3 should be this one only. Okay, because there's only one choice that has 7 and minus 3, so it has to be option A. You don't have to check for the other two. Okay, there's only one option that has 7 and minus 3. For this equation, you want to find the equation of the line. Okay, so we see that this one has the slope and the intercept. So you use the formula y equal mx plus b. The intercept here for the y-intercept b is 0. So you have y equal mx plus 0. Or y equal mx. M is the slope. Let's justify the slope. We have one point here. Let's pick another point. Let's pick another point. Let's find the even point right here. Okay. And then, okay. So from here, go up to here. You have to rise from 0 up to 7, right? So m is the rise over run. So you have to rise 7. Rise up 7 units. And then you run to the right by 8 units. So your m should be 7 over 8, or y equal 7 over 8, and then x for m for 7 over 8, and x for x here. So this is the equation for y equals 7 over 8. For this question, we are asked to find the equation of the line L, which is this line. This line is parallel to y equal 5x. So we know that this line, the line L we are solving for, is going to the point 3, and parallel to the line 5x. Because the two lines are parallel, they should have the same slope, right? So this line also has the same slope with the other line 5x, which is 5. Because the slope here is mx, m is 5. So this line also has m equal 5. Now, because we know the line has a slope m and a given point, we can find the equation using the point slope formula y minus y1 equal mx minus x1. This is x1, y1. Y minus y1, which is 3. And your m should be 5, x minus x1 also 3. And we can make the distribution 5x, 5 times 3 is minus 15, y minus 3, and you add 3 on both sides, y equals 5x, add 3 on both sides, that gives me minus 12. So this is the equation of a line right here. And you write the answer in the slope intercept form, so mx plus b. The equation of the two lines are given determines if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So all you have to do is now you have to find the slope for each of the line. This one has the slope which is 8, right? The other one has the slope m equal minus 8. Now they are not the same. They are not negative reciprocal. So in this case, it's neither. Find the center and radius of a circle, and write the center from the equation. Now we know the center of the equation of the circle has the form of hk. This is the center, so h should be minus 2, k is 3, hk. Now the form of the standard form of the equation has the form of x minus h, the whole quantity square, plus y minus k, the whole quantity square equal r square. We know that the h is minus 2, the y minus k is 3, r is the radius, so this is the radius, 1, 2, 3 units, so 3 square, minus minus become plus, y minus 3, and 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. So this is the equation of the circle. Okay, write the standard form of the equation of the general form of the equation of the circle with radius in the center, and then wrap the circle. We know that this is the standard form: x minus h squared plus y minus k, the whole quantity square equal r square. H is 0. This is 0, 0, right? So 0 for h. K is also 0. and then r is 6. So you have x squared, y minus 0 is y squared equals 6 times 6 is 36. So the center is 0, 0 is right here. The radius is 6. So you go 6 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the bottom, and then try to connect them together. Okay, this is not a nice drawing, but you get the idea. Next question. Decide whether the following statement is true or false. The domain of the function is all the value of x except when x equals plus or minus 3. Okay, so the domain of the function again is all the value of x that make the function to be defined. In this case, the only value that make the function to be undefined is when the denominator is equal to 0, which is when x is equal to 0. So it's not plus or minus 3. So this is not correct. So this is false. Determine whether the equation defines y as a function of x. So let's solve for y. We can move the y squared to the left and x squared to the right just to make it look similar to the normal equation. And then you can solve for y because you are solving for y as a function of x. So this is the square, so take plus or minus the square root of x. Now we see that because we have two different values of x for each value of y, so it does the correct function, yes or no. So let's try. If you are going to plot this one, this is x, this is y. This is x and y. Y equal the square root of x and y equal minus, there are two cases, minus the square root of x. So y equal the square root of x. So if I wrap that here, this is the function the square root of x. And to wrap the minus, you reflect that over the x-axis. So this is the minus the square root of x. Okay. And you can see that if I place the vertical line, the line crossing or more than one point. So this is not a function. Okay, because for one value of x, you can have two different values of y. So this is not a function. States the domain and the range the following relations, and then determine whether the relation represents a function or not. Okay, so the domain should be all the value of x, so minus 9, minus 8, minus 7, and then minus 6. The range is all the value of y, which is 6, also 6, and 6, and 6 again, so just one value of 6. Okay, so we see that if I plot the point, you can plot a few of them. This is x, this is y, minus 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, minus 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, minus 9, 6 here, minus 8 is right here, also 6, minus 7 is 6, minus 6 is 6. Okay, so we see that for each value of for each different value of x, we get only one value of y. So that makes sense. So this is passing the vertical line test. Only 1 point for y. So we are good. So yes, this is the function. Find the domain of the function. This is the linear function, right? Linear equation. If I wrap it on the xy plane, y, the 3 is the y-intercept, minus 6 is minus 6 over 1 for the slope. So from here you go down 6 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, go to the right by 1, and then make the line. So the domain should be everything minus infinity up to infinity. So for any linear equation, the domain is everything, because every value of x should make the function to be defined. Okay, the domain of this function. Again, the domain should be everything that make the function to be defined. In this case, the only case when the function is not defined is when the denominator is equal to 0. So you have to solve that to be 0. And then I add 25 on both sides. I can solve for x, take the plus or minus the square root of 25. X equal plus or minus 5. So the domain should be everything except the plus or minus 5. Or if so it's everything except this is minus 5, this is plus 5. So everything except these two. So you can write using the interval notation, minus infinity up to minus 5. Union from minus 5 up to 5. Union from 5 up to infinity. So these three intervals are the domain of the function except the point of minus 5 and 5, because when you get up to minus 5 and 5, it makes the function to be undefined due to the fact that it's dividing by 0. Determine whether the graph is that of a function by using the vertical line test, and then find the domain and the range, and then any symmetry. Okay, so if I place the vertical line test, it cuts more than 1 point, right? So not a function. We don't have any crossing over the x-axis, but we do have the y-intercept, right? The y-intercept. This is, I believe, it's 5 and minus 5. So the y-intercept is 0, the top one is 0, 5, the bottom 0, and minus 5. And the domain should be everything on the x-axis, right? You can have any value of x, and the range should be the value from 5 up to including 5, so from 5 up to infinity, or from minus 5 down here, but nothing in between. And also the union with minus infinity up to minus 5. Oops. For the infinity, make sure we use the open parenthesis. Okay, so minus infinity up to minus 5 in brackets. And then in this case, we do have the symmetry with respect to the x-axis. Yes, we do have 1 point here, 1 point here. Yes, and also this point and this point for the y-axis as well, and also this point and this point for the origin. So yes. For the following of the function, well, this has a lot of questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's try it. F of 0. So whenever 0, you see that 0 go to the place of x. So 3 times 0 square plus 2 times 0 minus 3. 0, 0, you get minus 3. For B, f of 1, that means anywhere you see the x now become 1. 3 times 1 square plus 2 times 1 minus 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2 minus 3. That's 5 minus 3, that gives me 2. And then so on for C. Similar. I'm going to skip C. Let's try D. F of minus x. Okay, so anywhere you see x now become minus x. So 3x become minus x. Plus 2 times x now become minus x, and minus 3. Minus x squared, the minus square give me plus, so 3x squared. Minus times 2 give me minus 2x, and then minus 3. And minus of f of x, minus f of x is everything right here. Plus 2x minus 3. Bring the minus 3 inside. Minus plus become minus 2x. Minus minus become plus 3. Okay, and then the next one, x plus 2. F x plus 2. Anywhere you see x, now become x plus 2. X plus 2 square plus 2x, 2x, and x now become x plus 2 and minus 3. So you can expand this one now. X squared plus 2 times x and 2 give me 4x, plus 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 3, combine like term, x squared, 4x plus 2x give me 6x, 4 plus 4 which is 8, 8 minus 3 give me 5. And then 4x, anywhere you see x now become 4x. So 3x squared which is 4x squared plus 2 times x which is 4x now minus 3. 4 squared 16 times x squared is x squared. Don't forget the 3. 4 times 2 is 8x minus 3. 16 times 3 that is 48x squared plus 8x minus 3. And that is g of 4x equal this expression. And then the last one is x plus 8. Anywhere you see x now become x plus 8. So equal 3 times x squared, but x now become x plus 8 plus 2x, but x now become x plus 8 minus 3. Okay, multiply inside 3x plus 3h plus 2x plus 2h minus 3. 3x and 2x give me 5x. 3h and 2h give me 5h and then minus 3. So simplify everything. Okay, so 2 more questions. This is the next one. If the point 4 and minus 4 is a point on the graph, so let's plot that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4x minus 1, 4y, which is this point. Then f of something equal something. So it's telling you that when your x is 4, f of 4, this is the function f of x. When f of 4, you get the value of y, which is minus 1. So basically, you just translate the given point into the function notation. And then the last one, they ask you to find a so that the point is on the graph. Okay, this is x and this is y. F of x is equal to y, the function notation. So f of x is y, which is 2, equal a times x. X now is minus 1 square plus 5. Minus 1 square is 1. Times a plus 5 equal 2. A times 1 is a plus 5 equal 2. To solve for a, you have to subtract 5 on both sides. So 2 times 2 subtract minus 5 is minus 3. So the answer for a is minus 3. Okay, so that should be all the questions for your midterm 1 review questions. And I hope you enjoy this video. And good luck on the midterm. And thanks for watching.